Dr. Annabel Cohen is thrilled to be a SingWell co-investigator focusing on singing in persons with Parkinson's disease, a professor of psychology at the University Prince Edward Island and adjunct professor in the Faculty of Graduate Studies, Dalhousie University. Between 2009 and 2017, she directed the Advancing Interdisciplinary Studies in Singing project and served as the series editor of the Routledge Companion to Interdisciplinary Studies in Singing. She is a fellow of the American and Canadian Psychological Association and the BBCS. Her current work on music acquisition and on equity in music education is supported by NSERC and the New Frontiers in Research Fund, respectively. Welcome, Annabel. She brought the book. That's good.
No, yeah. I brought it for a purpose, aside from that.
Okay. One
okay.
of three books.
Yeah,
three volumes.
So I was trying to track you down to see if you had the other.
I do at
here.
home, not here.
They're
I'm
here.
in my office.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
For some reason, my slide is not moving. What's wrong? I was moving perfectly.
I said that.
Oh yeah, you were teaching. What is it? Maybe. Yeah. This is crazy. All right.
Start closing the.
Yeah. All right. All
The
right.
best I can offer.
Sorry. Yeah.
Lost our tech people.
Let's just see. Yeah. I'm just gonna have to close it down and try again. Yes, it is. But there we go. Let's see. I have any success.
Exactly.
Yeah. Looking at it. So it's all good now. Right? This is a different view than I've seen. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm going to be talking about singing in Parkinson's, focusing on the study relevant to SingWell, the background study. So these are the collaborators who collected the data with me on the main study I'm going to talk about, and on the SingWell map, you can see where we are in Prince Edward Island. So Parkinson's disease is a progressive neurodegenerative disorder, and it impacts both and fine motor coordination, including speech production. And because the mechanisms underlying speech production are also engaged in singing, therefore it could affect singing as well. We don't know to what extent, so that's part of the interest here. There are past benefits of singing in groups in Parkinson's disease and also individual therapy. And the reason I brought the book is to acknowledge the work of Meryl Tanner, who has a wonderful review in this volume on singing and Parkinson's disease. So my title is very presumptuous, given that the large amount of work that actually has been done in this area. I don't pretend to be reviewing the whole thing, but just focus primarily on the study that we've done and that we need to do. So, but there are benefits to that have been observed, and there are social benefits in Parkinson's choirs, and then your group has this amazing.
Yeah, we almost have that word published, almost. Yeah,
Yeah.
so vocal
Yeah,
benefits.
because I don't. Yeah. And there's evidence for control of respiration and swallowing through Parkinson's with the work of Stegmiller, who's done quite a bit of research in this area. So there's a motivation on the part of people with Parkinson's to carry out, to retain their communication through singing. But let's look at singing versus speaking, because they're not the same thing. So why would somebody benefit from singing? Well, singing slows it down. The vowels change much more slowly, and yet there's a requirement for pitch to be more accurate in order to produce melody than accuracy required for speaking. So down to a semitone, which is not required for speaking. So if you can sing a melody so it can be recognizable, you're actually challenging your motor system, vocal motor system, more than you would be just for singing. And singing, we've already heard today a little bit about posture for singing, so it requires better posture as well, or you could encourage better posture. Where we find that Parkinson's disease has detrimental effects on motor ability, there's some research to suggest it actually improves creativity. And so I just thought I would mention that, but it's connected with the dopamine system and the drug that is used in Parkinson's disease. So there's a couple of papers on this, and usually they look at increased creativity in the visual arts. But this is something that we can track also with singing. So the study I'm reporting is based on Emma Campbell's thesis, and she was inspired by a CBC documentary, very brief documentary on a singing group for Parkinson's that took place in Prince Edward Island, and the group had been going on since 2016, so it thinks it might be the first in Canada, and it's continued. And this is the therapist, Shauna Pottinger, who is leading these, see them very well, a number of people, maybe 12, 15 people come out weekly and have been doing so until COVID, and they stopped just at the time when Emma was going to collect her data, very day. And so, but then they started up again online, and they continued on because Parkinson's is motor disorder and it's hard for people to get around. So they actually welcome the opportunity to work online. And then the quality of the singing is not so great that they miss the sound apparently of the choir. So Emma was intending to test about a dozen people in this choir, but immediately couldn't do that. And she was going to be testing them in person with an online test that we've been in person but online, which she was going to be facilitating it online, but couldn't do that. And so I had to quickly decide on something. First of all, she was going to go to their homes individually, and that was immediately ruled out by the university. So she instead created a little movie. We did it together with the excerpts from the test that would have normally happened just online, but she was going to present these excerpts from her home to the person using Zoom. And this worked out well, as it turned out. But there were only 4 volunteers. They had to have equipment at home and whatever. We thought we could learn something from just 4, and even more if they were tested twice in a short period of time to see how stable the performance would be over this period of time. And the singing tests we used came from what we had developed through the AIRS project with various inputs from many people and their suggestions. So there were a number of tests, and these were more tests than had been used in tests of singing with Parkinson's before. We got voice measures. We had them initially answer questions, to discuss what they thought about music or singing. So just had them talk a little bit. We had them sing Brother John, Frere Jacques 3 times with different kinds of prompts. They had to repeat da 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 da, easiest melody, sing their highest and lowest note, and sing a favorite song. So could they sing a song that would be recognizable? And they were asked to repeat major triads, minor triad, some very simple things, do, re, mi, fa, sol, and also to sing the continuation of a song. So, and these, excuse me, I'll just move on, but I had it. All of these were presented with an audio video example of somebody instructing them what to do. It wasn't the experimenter. It was on like a video of a guide who also sang the examples to them. So very user-friendly. These were the participants, 3 males, 1 female. Their ages varied from 52 to 73. They had spent different numbers of years in choir. So one person was only went to 1 rehearsal, whereas another had been in 49 times in the last 2 years. So the choir had even been going on before that. A couple of people have been in it for longer. And the hours they listened to different amounts of music that was constant, and they were all active people who enjoyed walking. So they were not seriously impaired at this point. Okay, just to tell you a little bit about the pitch analysis, because not only were we interested in how much they enjoyed the choir, which they all did, and I'm not really reporting those results. We did have them. But I'm actually interested, because it's a motor disorder and a degenerative disease, in the analysis, the acoustic analysis of their singing. And so just to tell you that when we had them sing Brother John multiple times, we only analyzed 10 notes, and those are the 10 repeated tonics in this, so that you can see their ability to hold a melody in mind and how variable they are on that. So just the overall results of the studies, all 4 people sang that simple song da 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 equally well, even though they varied in the amount of time they'd been in the choir and whether they were musically trained or not. They all could make up an ending of that song, which was da 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 dee da 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 da. They had to continue that. And they sang on average, I think 18.5 notes, which is much longer than our university students who 8 notes. So there's, and also long ago, we did such a request of people with Alzheimer's disease who couldn't do this task at all. So it's kind of interesting that, it's consistent with this notion of remaining creative. They sang a favorite song very well, easily to understand and analyze, to recognize and analyze. Of interest is that the harder task, the Brother John task, we call that a harder task, was better performed by the 2 participants who had more experience in the choir. I'll show you that data in a minute. Also, the performance at the first week and the second week were very similar. So the differences between participants was greater than the differences within. So this is the data from the 2 participants who were highly trained are not highly trained, but they've been in the choir for longer, but they also have music background. We can't separate that out in the study. And the two people who had less experience in the choir and reported no music training. So what is this? These are the 10 tonics of Brother John. So the note on R, ing, R, ing. These are all the same note. They're supposed to be the same note. So you can see, and don't pay too much difference about the absolute difference here, because we have a woman voice in the two bottoms, so it's the average of their two pitches. But what you want to pay attention to is how flat this is compared to for the two people who were not musically trained. This resembles our data from university students also, where you have musically trained people, it's flat, and people with no training, they're much more watery. So that is one piece of, and as I said, they had to sing Brother John 3 times, and under slightly different conditions, the same effect is there on the 3 occasions. Just to give you some information about the 4 music triads and to show the sensitivity of this test of singing. This is collapsed over the 4 people. And here they had to repeat da, da, da. I think that was what it was, or da, 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 with the minor triad and the diminished, and then just slightly different. So these triads are built of 3 and 4 semitone, and the distance between the first and the last note is 7 semitones. So this is plotting the first, second, and third note of this, and the green is the diminished, which is a minor third followed by minor thirds. It's the smallest spacing, and that is the pattern you would expect, that this last note should be lower. The augmented triad is the one where it's made of 2 4 semitone intervals, so it's higher. This is not showing perfect performance, but it's showing performance that's in the right pattern and validates the use of this test for the future, where we have more people participating. So to conclude from this study, the online testing situation worked, that you can test people in their home. We believe there's value in longitudinal testing, because testing over a 1-week period gives you very stable data. So testing over a year might show you a decline in performance or maintenance of performance for those people who are in the choir. And over years, it could show you some very useful information. And raising the possibility, because we're looking for markers of disease through singing or through music, and this might be one. We do need to replicate, and SingWell's providing an opportunity to do that, which is very grateful for. We need to determine the differences for group singing versus the active singing, so very much related. That's why I'm so excited about Dawn's and Isabel's study there. But I mean, this will be useful too, and particularly we're dealing with an online choir where the people who are in it really do not care so much about being part of a group choir. They are interested in hearing their own voice, and it is a bit like a singing lesson for them. But the therapists make sure they have opportunity to talk to each other before and after, so there's that component. I don't know how my time is. I'm good for a little bit, or I should stop?
We should end to have a question or two.
Okay, well, so we're able to move ahead with this through SingWell, and just to say thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Time for a question or a comment.
Of the publicity, I would expect to find written
Ah.
Is that something?
I think it's something to be looked at, and we didn't look at it, but maybe you have some.
I mean, I'm
experience
just
with-
going from my intuition, we founded this Parkinson's choir, I think around the same time. I'm gonna check out the dates, but in 2015 or 16. And, it's a nonprofit now. I see what they're doing. And the thing that I noticed is that group, we founded a bunch of hearing impaired choirs over the years. Almost immediately, when I walk into the room, they're making music, the Parkinson's patients. The hearing impaired participants aren't. So your data with the flat, the musically trained show the flat pitch distribution maps onto my experience entirely. Like they may not have strength in their voices, but they can hit those pitches. As to rhythm, I'm not hearing rhythmic problems. Maybe that's the motor entrainment that overcomes some of the challenges. We know that Parkinson's patients can move fluidly in dance, but you would expect some kind of rhythmic errors at some level, for sure,
Well, at least it's important.
to investigate.
Super important thing is to know where they are in the disease.
Yeah.
You're at like line 1, 2, 3, 4. Makes a big difference for singing. And disease can get to the mouth. Yes.
True.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing to really keep track in your studies.
It is something we haven't looked at, but we can look at it definitely. So thank you for focusing on that. It's also the people who sign up, maybe those can't keep a beat, So that's what we have only those who self-select to sing. But yeah, it's important. There's only so much that we cannot analyze, but we do have the timing information now, and we have a new way of collecting singing data online, by the way, and probably are going to another way, which we've been using with university students and older people, so that it doesn't have the visual component. I'm hoping that's not going to matter to the people, and we would be in a position, because of the way the data we have, we can analyze the timing on it.
Last comment or question.
It could be interesting with the timing, if you were specifically looking at that, to have them sing like a slurred pitch change versus with articulation, because it could be a mechanism related to like the attack, which is actually degrading, whereas if they're just doing pitch changes without the articulating, that actually might be related to that.
Without
Also, it's the
articulation.
thing, drug the John, right? Like there's a mechanism there versus if they're doing like a melisma-like thing. Yeah. So I mean, it'd be harder to actually analyze the audio.
Yeah.
But
It would be.
you could do that with rate of change of pitch. It wouldn't be impossible. Did I just find myself?
We'll talk
something?
about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I think that might be.
Okay,